The Dark Knight. This is a movie that I suppose doesn't need much of introduction. Everyone kind of knows this movie. It's a highly revered film, beloved from lovers of film, comic book fans alike. Still remains to this day one of the most popular. Like, you'll always kind of see it on lists of best comic book films, best sequels, things like that. It came out in 2008, but it's still it's kind of the movie to beat, really, and possibly it is the best Batman movie ever made, and possibly the best comic book film ever made as well. I personally kind of lean that way. I think it's a terrific film. Though I give credit to Batman Begins as well. I think they're both really great comic book films, Batman films, and having kind of everything established with Batman Begins and journeying with Bruce Wayne through his plight and his mission to save the soul of Gotham and ultimately become Batman and all that makes this movie all the stronger, since we have that backbone, that kind of pre-established set of rules within this universe, and set of rules within Batman himself. One of them being not to kill, which is a very important one, but as it's kind of foreboded, tonight you're going to break your one rule. So that's kind of one of the challenges that Batman faces in The Dark Knight. This was one of my most hyped up films of all time. Like, I really can't recall a movie that I was more excited for than this one. Kind of going into Batman Begins, I was a Batman fan ever since childhood. I was hoping for a really good movie. I had faith that under the direction of Chris Nolan and with pretty solid casting in Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne, as Batman, I anticipated it to be good, but I didn't expect it to be as mind blowing as it was, and that's a movie I'll always kind of gush over because it truly is great. This time around, though, I mean, that's a tough act to follow, and what the expectations coming into The Dark Knight were almost impossible to match, and yet, you know what? They exceeded it. This delivered on it and more. So I mean, I was so excited to see the movie, and I did end up seeing it on opening night, and saw it quite a few more times since then, in theaters, and then of course at home as well. I've watched it plenty of times. It really never gets old. It's just a fantastic movie, and what it's aiming to kind of deliver. Like, we knew from the ending of Batman Begins, there's the little tease of the Joker card, so we kind of knew where this might be heading, which was kind of an exciting thing. Batman versus the Joker, which we hadn't seen anything like that in a live action Batman movie since '89 with the Joker. So it's an exciting thing to get a new modern take on Batman versus the Joker, especially within this universe that Christopher Nolan created with Batman Begins. So that was hugely exciting to see what possibilities could be pursued in this second film. And as the film opens, this is maybe about a year that Bruce Wayne is into his secret life as Batman, fighting crime and all that, after the huge victory in the first film in stopping Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows from making the city destroy itself. Though there's still criminals out there. They escaped from Arkham at the end. The Scarecrow's still out there. He makes a brief appearance in the film. He's able to track him down and track other criminals down. And what's kind of happening now is that this mission as Batman is actually kind of working, where he wants to eliminate the crime and corruption in Gotham, and he does achieve pretty much exactly what he was setting out to do in kind of setting this example, in kind of uh, becoming a light to follow in Gotham, to inspire others, and that's kind of what he's done within kind of the bureaucratic side of Gotham. And we have this new character who's introduced, Harvey Dent, played by Aaron Eckhart, who is the district attorney, who's kind of seen as this golden boy, as this idealistic kind of fighter of injustice himself in his own way, and he is starting to make this difference in Gotham, and the criminals are kind of getting afraid, and it's Gotham isn't bowing to crime in the way that it did before Batman came. So Batman is able to help on his side of things, because there's only so many limits to what elected officials and the police force, what they can actually do within the limits of the law, limits of their own jurisdiction. But of course, Batman, he is a vigilante. He doesn't work within any kind of jurisdiction, so he's able to kind of give them that push further that they've been so desperately needing. So what kind of develops in this film is this trio of heroes in Batman, in Harvey Dent as the district attorney, and Jim Gordon as police lieutenant in this film, and working to take down the mob. And that's really what kind of sets off the events of this film. And in their little circle of trust, they're working the best they can, but they're of course, I mean, there is conflict there with Bruce Wayne, in that, of course, unfortunately for him, his love interest from the first film, who was originally played by Katie Holmes, played by Maggie Gyllenhaal this time around, Rachel Dawes. She's working with Harvey Dent and also dating him, and it's gotten quite serious. And the kind of unfortunate thing for Bruce Wayne, for Batman, is that he's Harvey Dent. He's everything that he wishes he could be. That Harvey Dent is making this difference in Gotham, and being a beacon of hope, without having to resort to the insanity of dressing up as a fucking bat in the dead of night and taking down criminals and stuff like that. So there's definitely a jealousy there, just through his ideals, but also of course amped up heavily due to the fact that he's dating Rachel Dawes, and the conversation that he had with her at the end of the previous film, it has never really left him, in that he believes that perhaps one day, and maybe one day soon, Gotham won't need Batman, and Bruce Wayne won't need Batman, and then the two can be together. So that's kind of pushing him to get these results and take down the crime boss and all that kind of stuff. And basically, they're hitting them where it hurts, with their money, kind of infiltrating their accountant, Lau, who's maybe not so trustworthy within the mob itself. Maybe he's going to turn on them, things like that. And what they don't quite anticipate is this insane criminal who also infiltrates the mob, also infiltrates their money, starts ripping them off to get their attention, basically. The Joker, this strange man dressed in purple with his hair dyed green and this face paint and scars on his face with a permanent smile. This insane figure that's kind of nudged his way into the criminal underworld that has been kind of lagging a little bit. Like, in the previous movie, there was the Carmine Falcone character, who was played by Tom Wilkinson. Here we have kind of a new mob boss kind of taking over for him, played by Eric Roberts. They're all kind of scared of the Batman, and that's kind of like what knocks off like the or starts off like the big introduction scene to the Joker's deals with the mob. Where he's like, "What happened? Your balls drop off?" And, stuff like that. And the solution is simple: we kill the Batman, and he makes this whole deal with them, and things start really amping up in kind of this war on crime, where judges are being killed, the commissioner's being killed, cops are being killed, people are being killed unless Batman reveals his true identity to the Joker. So the Joker is essentially taken the whole city hostage, and working as this vigilante antithesis to Batman himself. Where, I mean, the kind of intriguing thing to the Batman Joker relationship is that they are these opposites, but so similar in a lot of ways, and how really the biggest match for Batman is the Joker, because he doesn't really stand for any kind of order. It's all chaos. Where with the previous villain, Ra's al Ghul, it was kind of a very simple clash of ideals, where Ra's al Ghul, he felt Gotham City wasn't worthy of saving, and he wanted to take it down by recruiting the mob and the Scarecrow and all that to unleash the toxin, the fear-inducing toxin, into the city, and take it down and all that. It was an understandable kind of mindset where he was at, and that was something that Batman could kind of easily fight against. But nothing really makes sense about the Joker, and what's worse is that the Joker is so terribly amused by Batman, and with every step of the way, as things escalate, he's just constantly testing him. And by this time, everyone's pretty much aware of kind of the rules that he set for himself, and not being able to kill. So he's testing him in that respect, and you're gonna break your one rule, and things like that. So it gets to be this really intense standoff between the Batman, who's working outside the law, and the Joker, who's, I mean, basically working outside of crime. They're two extreme freaks, and as the Joker says, "You've changed things forever. There's no going back," and that's true. And Batman, of course, knew going into this whole plot, and as Alfred puts it, spitting in the face of the mob. He knew there would be serious repercussions to his actions in fighting against crime in Gotham. But I mean, there was just no way he could have anticipated such chaos that followed with the Joker character, and how he's really pushed to his limits, and he's provoked into having to question, to choose over his ideals for Gotham, and keeping the reputation of Harvey Dent secure in being this beacon of hope for Gotham, though Dent is tested as well, and kind of reveals his dark side, and Batman kind of does all he can to prevent that darkness from coming out from within him, and having to choose between his own life, his own happiness, with achieving his goal as Batman is stopping crime, and maybe one day soon being able to be with Rachel, and also testing that rule of his to not kill. So it's just this utterly chaotic circumstance that he's thrust into with this film, and it's just so engaging. It really kind of encapsulates so much of what makes the Batman character so interesting in giving him these challenges and showing us uh, you know conflicts that we haven't quite seen before in other films, and showing this feud between him and the Joker, and it truly is this yin and yang kind of relationship with him and the Joker, and he really is kind of the quintessential Batman villain, which of course added to the excitement of this film, and added ultimately to the hugely positive response to the film, positive reaction to the film, and Heath Ledger as the Joker, he's absolutely terrific in the role, and going into it and being in following the production of the movie, and finding things out about it, and finding out that they did cast him. It was definitely a unique casting choice with Ledger, and I personally I had my doubts about it. I think a lot of people did. They were like, really, Heath Ledger? It's kind of a different choice. So, only because maybe it wasn't the obvious choice, really. Like, I mean, look at Jack Nicholson in the '89 film. Like, even like Tim Burton said, you don't have to be a casting director to know that's the perfect casting, which is absolutely true. I mean, everything about Jack Nicholson is just begs to play the Joker. With Heath Ledger, though, I mean, he was really at such a young age. He was really developing a reputation as one of the great actors, and terrific performances like Monsters Ball and Brokeback Mountain. These really great and different, diverse roles that he was pulling off. So, I mean, hindsight's 2020, I guess, but to say he gave us an expertly considered Joker is an understatement. It's a fantastic performance. It's scary and threatening, though it is funny in some points. Like, I mean, there are some points where it's like really absurd and strange and funny. Like, he'll just catch you off guard with like a funny line here or there, or showing up at the hospital in a nurse's gown and all this kind of stuff. So I mean, it's a truly great performance, and just the way, I mean, he gets the voice and little nuances to the performance. Like, this is kind of a different kind of Joker, where he has the scars. They're the self-inflicted, we assume, scars on his face, or he's always licking his lips and things like that, and while he's not like guffawing every minute, the laugh is really good too. So I mean, he gets every kind of angle of the character down expertly, and of course, well deserving of the Academy Award nomination. He won for Best Supporting Actor, which was nominated and won posthumously. And unfortunately, he passed away before the movie could be released. So I mean, that kind of made it this bittersweet thing, going into the movie knowing that he's, I think, 28 years old, passed away. That made it kind of a bittersweet kind of thing. But I mean, it had he lived, I mean, he the reception to the character, I mean, would have surely made him proud as an actor, because this is a great performance. He's gone to many places in this performance that few actors dare to go, and he pulled off something that's timeless. And still, for my money, probably the best Joker. I mean, I know the Joaquin Phoenix Joker has become very popular as well, but there's something about this Joker in The Dark Knight that's truly just malevolent and shocking, and just entrancing. Like every scene he's in, like you can't take your eyes off him. And you kind of just get hypnotized by this great performance. So so truly great work from Heath Ledger, and such a sad and unfortunate loss. I mean, it's still felt today. You know, he's still kind of wonder what he might have been able to do throughout his career. But he's left us with some great roles, and this one in particular, his Oscar-winning role is a triumph, and it's truly great. Which, I mean, of course, I mean he's a scene stealer, no doubt. I mean, that kind of comes with the territory of the Joker character. It's you know, almost implied that if someone's going to be the Joker, they're going to best steal all the scenes in the movie, because it is such a popular character. Well before Ledger, and certainly well after. But it's not to take away from the great work of the cast. I mean, Christian Bale, once again, he's incredible as Batman. He's, you know, able to convey all the conflict that he suffers through in the film, both as Bruce Wayne and as Batman. And you know, you got to give him credit. That's a hard thing to do when everything except, you know, the lower part of his face is covered in a bat costume, but he pulls it off so well. And there are some, you know, really intense moments with Batman where, you know, I mean, that chicken moment, you know, where he's on the bat pod, the motorcycle, and he's driving towards the Joker, and you know, is he gonna break the rule? Is he gonna kill him? Is he gonna run to him? And, you know, he's screaming. It's just such a great intense moment, and Bale really just exudes this torment that's so great. I mean, he's absolutely terrific as the character, and with Eckhart as well as Dent. I mean, in he himself having this dual personality, like we don't find out until the end, well, maybe like the last act of the movie, that throughout his career is you know, rising up to district attorney, there's always been this nickname kind of following around, Harvey Two-Face, where, you know, he does have a different side to him that slowly kind of reveals itself throughout moments of the film, where he's, you know, under heavy stress and all that, and, you know, finally reaching a breaking point when, well, I mean, the movie's pretty old. Spoilers if you don't want to know anything, but, you know, when Rachel is killed and he's burned up, and ultimately he becomes Two-Face as we know him from the comics, he reaches that breaking point, and you know, it kind of fully takes over him, as per, you know, the Joker's evil plan, and fighting for the soul over Gotham, and you know, extinguishing that light that was guiding Gotham through this Golden Boy, unfortunately. So I mean, it's a tragic character, and I think Eckhart plays it tremendously. And one of my favorite things about this movie is Gary Oldman, and how they really give Lieutenant Gordon, who ultimately becomes Commissioner Gordon through this film. He gets a promotion. They give him such a juicy role, which is great. I mean, it's great to see, not just because Gary Oldman is such a great actor and can play anything, really, not just because the way he played the character previously was so good, and how, you know, this has always been, you know, a key Batman character. But like in the previous movies, he just, especially, you know, the original four, let's say, where, you know, Pat Hingle's playing him, does it fine, but they don't really give him much to work with. Here he is arguably just as important as Batman, as Harvey Dent in the film. It is about this trio, and from different, you know, angles of justice and you know, protecting the city, they all have their own kind of hurdles to come over, and you know, arguably Gordon, he has it the hardest out of all these guys. I mean, Dent, you know, Just to smile and make big speeches, and as Gordon puts, he gets points for being an idealist. Batman, he can work outside the law. He can kind of play by his own rules that he establishes for himself. But Gordon's kind of he's in the shit, and he has to uh, deal with the corruption that surrounds him, and kind of works with what he has to, and that the trio relationship is such kind of this core element of the movie, and that's what it all kind of, even with when the Joker at eventually, like before the very last moments of the film, he's out of the picture. So really what it is all about is about these three men who tried their best to preserve, order and justice and all things right with Gotham, and kind of failing in doing so. So it is this kind of tragic stories of decent men in an indecent time, as Dent puts it. Trying to do their best. So I mean, that final scene where it's Dent holding Gordon's family hostage, and Gordon and Batman all kind of meeting together for one last time. It's a truly heart wrenching moment, I think, and having kind of failed because of the challenge presented by the Joker. So I mean, it really. It really hits hard, I think. So I mean, it's high drama, high stakes. I mean, this isn't just your run of the mill kind of superhero movie. Batman flies around and fights people. Though again, there's great stuff like that. There's great action movies, but it is heightened by such a an intriguing morality that surrounds everything, and the motivations behind the characters, they're very much sincere, and their successes and failures can be felt quite heavily through the audience. So I think it works so well, and the action is just incredible in the movie to boot. So I mean, we get great stuff. I mean, obviously the standout moment has to be the whole chase with Dent in the police van, and the Joker with his truck, and it's like a carnival truck that says "Laughter is the best medicine," but there's an S spray painted over the laughter, so it says "Slaughter is the best medicine," and Batman coming in the tumbler to pursue him and save Dent, and the whole resulting in the whole kind of standoff between him and the Joker, which is just such an excellently done action scene. So exciting, and it is one of those scenes that if you were able to see it in theaters, if you were able to see it with the IMAX presentation, it was just this fully immersive kind of action scene that was just so well executed, and mind blowing. Really, I mean, it's a great action scene, and it really holds as like the tent pole of the movie, basically. Like you're always kind of like, oh, the scene's coming, and so that's all really good. But most interestingly is scenes where it's just conversations between two characters. It's just as exciting, really. I mean, like the interrogation scene between Batman and the Joker. That's just such a great scene, and really there's no special effects, no explosives, no anything. It's just two ridiculously dressed figures in a room, and they're talking about their ideals, basically, and I think that's just that's a sign of a great movie, where I mean, you can have both. You can have the high drama and great acting, Oscar-winning acting, really. I mean, that's what's in this movie, and mind-blowing action scenes. So I mean, you have the best of all possible worlds. And again, like with the first film, Batman Begins, it treats the material with reverence and respect, and it also treats the audience that way. And then it does feel like a real movie. Doesn't feel like this silly comic book kind of bright colors, neon lights, Joel Schumacher kind of thing. It feels like a real, legitimate kind of story that we're seeing unfold. It is a crime movie, basically. I mean, if visually the first film was influenced by Blade Runner, then certainly this film was influenced by Heat, the Michael Mann film. Also, kind of this heist movie set in well, that one was set in Los Angeles, but there's similar kind of visuals and similar kind of action scenes that play out as well. So it is this thing, about a masked vigilante and a painted face lunatic. But it does kind of feel like a crime drama that unfolds. So it's expertly done in that respect. Despite an influence and origin in the comic books, which have endless, outlandish, larger than life kind of stories to choose from. It's all harnessed and interpreted in a way where these characters do feel very real, and with that there are really high stakes and there are true consequences to kind of every decision that's made by Batman throughout the film, and it gets increasingly impossible to kind of make the right choice. Like there's the whole section of the film where the Joker had been captured, but it was all part of his plan and stuff like that, and he had successfully gotten his goons to capture both Harvey Dent and Rachel, and doing that whole thing where he has to choose between one or the other to save, which, I mean, something like that's already kind of become a cliche in these superhero movies. Do you choose what's represented through your life as the hero in Batman, or do you choose what's represented in your life as Bruce Wayne? You can only choose one, basically. And I mean, we've seen that in like Batman Forever too, in a much more kind of cartoony way. But here it is kind of flipped over in a way that's a true dilemma that, unfortunately for Batman, doesn't have a real answer. Either decision he makes is going to be the wrong one, because he gives the two addresses, but of course he's swapped them. He thinks he's going after Rachel, but he finds Harvey Dent instead. Rachel is killed, and Harvey Dent, though he does save him, of course he becomes hideously scarred and becomes the Two-Face. So he's failed in kind of both respects, where in any other kind of representation of this dilemma where the hero has to make a choice, usually we see them save both, but in this case he's really kind of saved neither, and it just kind of pits him further into this conflict. And even with something like at the end, where there is a success, there is a triumph in the fact that the hostages on the boats, they decide to not flip the detonators for the others, and Batman's like, the city just proved they're better than you. What are you trying to prove, that they're as ugly as you are, and all that kind of stuff. But even in like a triumph like that, there's really no time to kind of relish it, because what does the Joker say? You think I'd stake the battle for Gotham over a fist fight with you, where all this time, arguably, he's just kind of buying time to let Harvey Dent off his leash and go around and kill the people that he's believed to have wronged him. And in doing that, I mean, he's kind of set Gotham up for a failure, and bringing Harvey Dent down to their level and becoming a villain. So while we have this big action scene at the end, it's given a final note where it does end in this tragedy, and kind of the final test for Batman does result very much so in him breaking his one rule. Where I mean, it's kind of inarguable at this point that that's exactly what he does. I mean, he saves Gordon's child, who Harvey Dent is seconds away from killing. He kind of pushes him out of the way, then he falls down and his neck is snapped basically, and he's dead. He's definitely dead, and that's kind of like a hard scene to grasp, because I mean, in these comic book movies you kind of expect, oh, the villain might still be alive. Harvey Dent, Two-Face, he might show up for another movie. He might return as a villain. But I mean, if the next film, The Dark Knight Rises, kind of proved anything, it was that yeah, he's definitely dead. Batman definitely killed him, and he did exactly what the Joker provoked him into doing. And even though, I mean, the movie it is a tragedy, and there is certainly a failure in what these men are trying to do in saving the soul of Gotham and all that. It's you don't walk away from it as a complete bummer, because there is a kind of final ace in the hole that they play themselves, where Batman takes credit for all the murders committed by Harvey Dent, and they sick the dogs on Batman. They chase him. They make him a pariah, and he's kind of forced into exile, basically, where Gordon knows the truth, and he has, of course, that great speech that he gives to his son that closes the film. But it is a victory that is built upon a lie that only these men know, and victory and peace founded on a lie is only so fragile. It can only last so long, which I guess is what we kind of learn in the next movie, which is one of the things I like about the next movie, how they don't leave that hanging. They do kind of confront that head on, but it's just enough. It's the hero that they need, not that they quite deserve in this film. So it ends on a positive note, but along the way there is great failure. But I think it balances the tragedy and triumph quite well. I mean, it's a morally complicated movie. There are no easy answers, as we learn throughout all these little schemes and plans that the Joker brings Batman through. So it's a legitimate feeling movie, and it's altogether a really impressive production, really impressive visually. Just a great sense of visuals all around. Once again, this is Wally Pfister cinematography. It's absolutely incredible. Great technical aspects all around. I mean, great special effects that aren't too showy, but really drive the scenes home when they need to be, and a great musical score. Once again, as in Batman Begins, we have Hans Zimmer, James Newton Howard delivering similar cues from the first, but amping everything up as this next chapter in the trilogy amps everything up. I especially love the kind of theme, or just the music that is associated with the Joker. Like, apparently they took like shards of glass and nails, screeching them across piano wires or something like that, to create that kind of like eerie pitch when the Joker is on screen. So I thought that was great, and of course, just great acting in the film, really convincing, committed performances. In particular, I mean, credit where it's due, Heath Ledger. He just brings the movie to an entirely different level, and makes it what it is. And Great action scenes, great stuff, and they're not just greatly done action scenes, but they're interesting too. They have interesting trajectories and the way they're executed, and like something like like at the sort of the end of the film where the Joker is held up in the incomplete building, and the boats are filled. The one boat with a passenger full of prisoners from Arkham, and the other boat of innocent citizens, and which one's going to blow up and all that, and the hostages in the building, and how Batman has to employ this sonar technology to find the Joker and kind of navigate around using like echolocation, just like a submarine. I thought that's a very interesting way to play out that action scene. It's really good. Maybe there's a little bit of commentary in there as well. I mean, this was during the years of the Patriot Act, so there's some ethical dilemma in bringing about this technology and spying on, essentially spying on all of Gotham, to find the bad guy, basically, which Lucius Fox kind of he protests against as he's helping Batman, and all that. So that's kind of an interesting angle, though. Which side of the commentary it may be on, may be up to your individual interpretation. So there's such a lot of great stuff to this movie, and it feels like a legitimate and sincere telling of comic book source material, and that it's not just silly funny pages kind of stuff. There are very serious themes of morality and good and evil and the gray areas in between that it plays with, and it does so in such an intriguing way. So it truly is a great movie, and it's deserving of all its praise. It really is, and I would I would personally rank it among the very best, if not my favorite, of all comic book movies. I mean, this is something that really brought, in addition to the first film, Batman Begins, really brought them to a whole new level of what could be done with them, how the stories could be told, what kind of stories could be told. And I think unfortunately, as we stand right now, maybe they're reverting back a little bit to kind of more of the kid-friendly stuff. I mean, which is fine too. I won't, poo-poo that stuff. I mean, comic book movies can be, just fun adventures and stuff like that. But this taps into something, I think, more universal, deeper, and something that's the audience can really kind of chew on a little bit more, and it is something that demands your participation as an audience member, and to think about these characters and their choices and the challenges that face them. And I think that's something important in the telling of any story too. So I mean, Nolan really just delivered a masterpiece here. This is a great movie. I love it. I mean, maybe there's a temptation, just because it is so popular, to say, it's good, but it's overrated and stuff like that. Well, I mean, I think there's a good reason why it does get the praise that it does. I think it's deserving of it. I think it's a truly great movie. So, what else can I say? The Dark Knight. It's one of the greats. So, thank you very much for watching today. I really appreciate it. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all that stuff. Until next time, same bat channel. I'll see you later.